Good morning, children. Welcome to the next botany class. In the previous class, we started studying about what is plant tissue culture, what is the concept of the plant tissue culture, and how this plant tissue culture is done, or what is the technique involved in the plant tissue culture. Now, today we are going to study about the types of plant tissue culture. Now, based on the explant we have studied already the plant part, what is used for the culture, that is called as the explant. Based on the explant, some other plant tissue culture types are organ culture. First one is the organ culture. So here the development or culture of the embryo. If you are growing in the culture medium, the embryo or the anther or ovaries, roots, shoots, which is considered to be the organs. Okay, so if these organs they are used as the culture medium, then it is called as the organ culture. So development of embryos, development of anthers, ovaries, roots, shoots, leaves, or any organs of the plant is called as the in the culture medium it is called as the organ culture. Next is the meristome culture. So if we are using the meristematic tissues where it is present, those any part of the plant, it may be in the shoot apex, in the root apex. Okay, so here using this meristematic tissues we are using in the culture medium, then it is called as any plantlet is raised, then it is called as the meristome culture. Okay, next is the third one, the important one, the protoplast culture. Now as we know, what is a protoplast? We know protoplast is said to be the living content of the cell, or we can say protoplast are the cells without the cell wall. Okay, so leaving the cell wall. Next we have the cell membrane. So the cell and bounded by the cell membrane, that is called as the protoplast. Okay, so protoplasts are the cells without a cell wall but bounded by a cell membrane or plasma membrane. Now using protoplasts, it is possible to regenerate whole plant from single cells and also develop somatic hybrids. So somatic hybrids is what? We are by crossing two different protoplasts. Okay, two different protoplasts we are fusing. So you will be getting a single cell, that is called as a hybrid. So here either from a single protoplast an entire plant can be developed, or this protoplast can be fused together to get a somatic hybrid, and that somatic hybrid cell is used is kept in the culture medium to develop an entire plant. So that is called as the protoplast culture. So protoplast we know it is the cell without a cell wall. So from this protoplast an entire plant can be raised, or different protoplasts can be fused together and can obtain a somatic hybrid, and from that somatic hybrid a new plant can be raised. So the steps involved in this protoplast culture, as we know, plant cells, it is surrounded by the cell wall. So for getting this protoplast, we have this method is called as the isolation of protoplast. That is separating of the protoplast from the cell wall, or the removal of the cell wall from the protoplast. Small bits of plant tissue like leaf tissue are used for isolation of protoplast. So here from the leaf tissue we are taking a small part and that is used in the isolation. Leaf tissue is immersed in 0.5 percentage of macrozyme and 2 percentage of Monozuka cellulase enzyme. Cellulase enzyme are the enzymes which is used for breaking the cell wall. Okay, so here in the mixture containing 0.5 percentage macrozyme, 2 percentage cellulase enzyme, which is dissolved in 13 percentage of sorbitol or mannitol is used. This enzyme mixture is used for the isolation of the protoplast, and here the pH is maintained as 5.4. These all values you have to remember, children. So here the leaf tissue is first immersed in this enzyme mixture. So it contains what? Macrozyme, 0.5 percentage of macrozyme, 2 percentage of cellulase enzyme, and 13 percentage of sorbitol or mannitol, and the pH is 5.4. Then it is then incubated overnight at 25 degrees Celsius. So the whole night the leaf tissue is immersed in this at a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. After a gentle teasing of the cells, protoplasts are obtained. Now, uh, after immersing this plant tissue in this enzyme mixture overnight, the next we are teasing it, we are scratching it. So here what will happen? The protoplasts are obtained, and these are then transferred to 20% sucrose solution to retain their viability. So here this isolated protoplasts for their obtaining, for their presence in the viable condition or in the healthy condition, it is kept in a 20% sucrose solution. They are then centrifuged to get pure protoplasts as different from debris or cell walls. Now here, after, as we studied, first the plant tissue is immersed in an enzyme mixture. It is incubated overnight. Next, it is being teased. The leaf tissue is being teased, so protoplast will be obtained. That obtained protoplast to be kept in a healthy condition. It is kept in a 20 percentage of sucrose solution. Next, what is done? It is being centrifuged. Okay, so here when the centrifugation is done, what will happen? The debris will remain on the top and the protoplast will be present at the bottom. So here the debris and the protoplast will be separated. Debris means the waste. Waste will be all the, apart from the protoplast, the cell wall waste material. The remaining waste materials of the leaf tissues, they will be separated from the protoplast. So for the separation of this waste from the protoplast, they are being centrifuged. So this is the method for isolation of protoplast. So isolation of protoplast, again a separate question, an important one, or the entire plant protoplast culture is an important topic. So here we have isolated the protoplast. Now after the isolation of the protoplast, so as we have done, this protoplast, individual protoplast can be used for culturing an entire plant, or and next is what we can go for the fusion of the protoplast to obtain a somatic hybrid. So it is so next is what? The fusion of protoplast. Fusion means binding of the protoplast. It is done through the use of a suitable fusogen. Fusogen means a binding agent. It is normally PEG, polyethylene glycol, a very important one. The normally used fusogenic agent is PEG, polyethylene glycol, important for your 1 mark. So here in the isolated desired protoplast, it can be a protoplast can be obtained from a rice plant and from a radish plant. They both can be, these two protoplasts can be fused together. Okay, so for this fusion of these two protoplasts from two different sources, we are using a binding agent that is called the fusogen, and the commonly used fusogen is PEG, polyethylene glycolate. The isolated protoplasts are incubated in 25 to 30 degree concentration of PEG with calcium ions, and the protoplast shows agglutinization, that is the formation of clumps of cells, and the fusion. So here, as you can say, so here these isolated protoplasts are kept in the concentrated solution of PEG with along with that calcium ions are present there. So here the protoplast, they forms the lumps there. Okay, and they will undergo the fusion, that is the two protoplasts will fuse together. Next, the protoplast. The MS liquid medium is used for with some modification in droplets, plating, or micro drop array techniques. So the suitable, now here we have isolated the protoplast. Now if there is a requirement is there, we are fusing the protoplast, we are getting a somatic hybrid. Next is what? We are culturing the protoplast. So for culturing, for the growing of this protoplast, we are using a suitable medium, that is the MS medium. It is in a liquid condition. MS liquid medium is used with some modification in droplet, plating, or microdrop array techniques. Protoplast viability is tested with fluorescent diacetate before the culture. So here, since this procedure is a costly procedure, so here it's lively condition. The protoplast condition is being tested whether it is viable before culturing. The cultures are incubated in a continuous light of 1000 to 2000 lux at 25 degrees Celsius. The cell wall formation occurs within 24 to 48 hours. As we know, now here there is no protoplast is present there. So after the incubation, within 24 to 48 hours, the cell wall formation will take place, and the first division of the new cell occurs within 2 to 7 days of culture. So here next we are transferring this protoplast, isolated protoplast or the fused protoplast, to the suitable culture medium, where first it will regenerate the cell wall. After the regeneration of the cell wall, the cell will undergo its division within 2 to 7 days of culture. Next is what? The selection of somatic hybrid cells. The fusion product of protoplast without a nucleus of different cells is called as a hybrid. So here the fusion product of protoplast without nucleus. Now here, as we have studied, the two isolated protoplasts may be from different source. They can be fused together with the help of the PEG. So here what will happen? When two cells they fuse without the fusion of the nucleus, that is called as this. That is the fusion of the cytoplasm. Externally, the fusion of the nucleus of the hybrid. This will undergo the nuclear fusion. That is the nucleus of the two protoplasts will fuse together. This process is called as somatic hybridization. So here isolated protoplasts they are fused with the help of the binding fusion EG. As a result, first the cytoplasm will fuse and the cell is called as the hybrid. After this, what will happen? The nucleus of the two protoplasts will fuse together and will get a somatic hybrid. So this is the protoplast culture. So protoplast culture, first one what we are doing. Now here first one we are isolating the protoplast. Okay. Next, if required, fusion of the protoplast is we are doing. Next we are culturing in a suitable medium. Next is what it is the somatic hybrids are obtained by the fusion of the protoplast. Next we are going to study the next type of uh, plant tissue culture, that is the cell suspension culture. The growing of cells, including the culture of single cells or small aggregates of cells in vitro in liquid medium, is known as the cell suspension culture. So the growing of cells, including the culture of a single cell, either growing a single cell or a group of cells in laboratory condition, in the glassware, in artificial condition, in liquid medium, is known as the cell suspension culture. The cell suspension is prepared by transferring a portion of the callus in the liquid medium and agitated using rotary shaker. The callus they are being transferred to this liquid medium and they are shaken it vigorously. So here what will happen? From the callus the cells will be separated out. So here the cells are separated from the callus tissue and they are used for the cell suspension culture. Now what for we are doing this cell suspension culture? So the production of secondary metabolites. For the production of secondary metabolites we are using this cell suspension culture. A cell suspension culture are useful for the production of secondary metabolites like alkaloids, flavonoids, terpenoids, phenolic compounds and recombinant proteins. So here the organic compounds what we are getting from the plants. For this we are using this cell suspension culture. Now what are these secondary metabolites? Secondary metabolites, they are the chemical compounds that are not required by the plant for their normal growth and development but are produced in the plants as a byproduct. So these secondary metabolites, they are not needed for the development and growth of the plant but they are useful for the treatment of many diseases for us. Okay. So these secondary metabolites, they are the byproducts which are obtained from the plants which are useful for human. So for example, uh, biosynthesis and isolation of indole alkaloids from Catharanthus inca rosea or Nitya Kalyani what you say. So in that we can find and alkaloid, indole alkaloids are present. This is useful for the human beings. So they are being isolated from this Catharanthus roseus plant cell culture. The process of production of secondary metabolites can be scaled up and automated using bioreactors for commercial production. So, for the large production of this secondary metabolites, they are being prepared in the bioreactors. Okay, scaled up and automated. That is the this process they are being used for the large production in bioreactors. Many strategies such as biotransformation, elicitation, and immobilization have been used to make cell suspension culture more efficient in the production of secondary metabolites. These are the various techniques: biotransformation, elicitation, and immobilization. These are the various techniques by which more efficient secondary metabolites can be obtained. Few examples of industrially important plant secondary metabolites are listed below in the table, and this is a very important one. Secondary metabolites, again an important topic. This all these secondary metabolites, their source as well as the uses you have to remember. So first secondary metabolite, it is digoxin. Digoxin, it is obtained from the plant Digitalis purpurea. It is used as a cardiac tonic. Okay, it is used for the heart disease. Next is the codeine. Codeine is obtained from Papaver somniferum. Okay, and it is an analgesic. Next is capsaicin. It is obtained from the Capsicum annunum. Rheumatic pain treatment. Next, vincristine. It is obtained from Catharanthus roseus and it is anti-carcinogenous and it is used for making anti-malarial drugs. So these are the various secondary metabolites what we are getting from the. So these are the four different types of plant tissue culture we have studied. Based plants we are using in the culture. Next topic we are going to study is about the regeneration pathway. So how this regeneration is done from the cell, how these new plants are being regenerated. From the explants, plants can be regenerated by somatic embryogenesis or organogenesis. That is, from the explant directly either the embryo is developed or any organs, that is the root or the shoot is being developed. Formation and embryogenesis means formation of the embryo. Uh, Organogenesis means formation or development of the organs like roots or the shoots. So here the explant. The explant can be either the meristematic tissue or it can be a shoot apex. So when we are using this meristematic tissue or shoot apex, we will get a virus-free plants we are able to get. Okay, since these are the dividing cells, newly formed cells, they are free from the attack of the virus. So from this meristematic cells or shoot apex, when you are raising a plant, we will get a virus-free plantlet will be able to get. Now, if the explant is a stem, in the stem, if the nodes are used, we can develop multiple shoot. Okay, multiple shoot formation can be done from the if we are using the stem. The tissues from the nodal region of the stem if we are using. Now, after the development of the numerous shoot, they will be allowed with the help of the plant hormones. So they will be induced to develop the roots. When the roots are developed, that is the shoot is present, the roots are developed. That means a entire plantlet is ready. Now it will undergo the hardening because we are developing these plantlets in the glassware in the laboratory condition, in the artificial condition. Next, it will exposed to the hardening process, that is step by step it will be exposed to the natural condition, and next is what the transfer to the field. If the explant, if you are using the leaf or the root, so from the leaf tissues or from the root tissues, the callus is developed, and from the callus, so here two methods is possible: either direct embryogenesis, from the callus directly the embryo embryoids develop, These embryoids will develop into plantlets, and that will undergo the hardening process, and finally it is transferred to the field. Or indirect, from the callus indirectly. So what will happen, some cells will develop into shoot. That shoot will, when the shoot is developed, it will be induced to develop the root with the help of the hormones present in the culture medium. That will lead to the development of a complete plantlet. This will undergo the hardening process, and next will undergo the transfer to the field. So here this is the method of regeneration pathway. So here we have studied the plants can be regenerated by somatic embryogenesis or organogenesis. So let's study what is somatic embryogenesis. Somatic embryogenesis is the formation of the embryo from the callus tissue directly, and these embryos they are called as the embryoids. That is, from the callus if directly an embryo is developed, then it is called as embryoids. Okay, they are called as the embryoids, and the phenomena or the process is called as embryogenesis. Or these embryoids can be developed in vitro cells directly from pre-embryonic cells which differentiated into embryoids. So that is, from the explant, taking a tissue, that tissue will undergo callus formation. That is, this tissue will lead to the formation of the callus. From the callus directly the embryo is developed, that is called as the embryoids. Or in the in vitro culture, a pre-embryonic cell they are being cultured to develop into an embryoids. Now what is the application of this somatic embryoids? So, somatic embryogenesis provides potential plantlets which after hardening period can establish into plantlets. So here we can develop a good quality plantlets through somatic embryogenesis. When we are developing a plant, they will be of good potential. Okay, they will be having a good ability to withstand the natural conditions. So after the hardening process, somatic embryoids can be used for the production of synthetic seeds. That is, artificial seeds can be produced from the somatic embryoids. So what are the synthetic seeds? They are, that is the embryo, they are enclosed within a agarose gel or calcium alginate. They are called as the synthetic seeds or artificial seeds. Next is what the somatic embryogenesis is now reported in many plants such as Allium sativum, Hordeum vulgare, Oryza sativa, Z maize, and this possible in any plant, and this is possible in any plant. So somatic embryogenesis is being already done in these plants, and this can be, somatic embryogenesis can be done in any type of plants. So this is what we have studied, that is, from the callus if directly the embryo is developed, then it is called as the somatic embryogenesis. Since here there is no fusion of the gametes, this embryo is formed without the fusion of the gametes, so we call it as what, a somatic embryogenesis. Okay, next is what, the organogenesis. The morphological changes occur in the callus leading in the formation of shoot and roots is called as organogenesis. So that is, in callus, the callus will undergo differentiation. Differentiation already we have studied, it is change in the form. That is, the callus cells, if it develops into the shoot, then it is this is called as callogenesis. The formation of the shoot from the callus is called as the callogenesis. Or from the callus by the differentiation if the roots is developed, and that is called as rhizogenesis, that is development of the roots. So here when the shoot is developed or the roots is developed, they will induce to the development of the other part, and entire plantlet is developed there. So here organogenesis can be induced in vitro by introducing plant growth regulators in the MS medium. That is, this from the callus, the shoot development and the root. If the shoot is developed from the callus, after that with the presence of the hormones present in the medium, the roots can be induced to develop. If the from the callus the roots are developed by the presence of the hormones present in the medium, the shoot can be induced to develop. As a result, we will get a complete plantlet. So here organogenesis can be induced. Development of the roots or shoot can be induced with the help of the growth regulators. They are nothing but the plant hormones which are present in the medium. Next, auxin and cytokinins, they induce the shoot and root formation. So the hormones which is responsible for the development and the development of the shoot and root in the from the callus, it is the auxins and the cytokinins. With this, we complete today's topic. In the next class, we'll start with the next topic. Thank you, children.